What's going on, guys? In this video we are going to talk about implication and equivalence. Now let's go ahead and see an example. Let's say we have two statements P and Q. Okay, now first let's look at the implication. Here what it says, P implies Q. The implies sign look like this, P implies Q. This mean like P implies Q, or we can say if P then Q. Okay, there are two ways to say this. P implies Q, and also we can say if P then Q. Okay, now let's go ahead and look at the truth table for this one. P implies Q. Here P sometimes it's called as premise, and this one called as conclusion. Now let's go ahead and look at the truth table for this one. P has two possibilities, true or false. Q has two possibilities, true or false. Okay, here what it says is, if P is true, Q must be true, otherwise it's going to be false. In other words, we can say if P is true, the only time it's false is when P is true and Q is false. Okay, that's why if P is true, Q has to be true, otherwise it's false. So here P is true, Q is true, so this is true. For this one P is false, Q is true, so it's true. If P is true, Q has to be true. Here Q is false, therefore this is the only one that's going to be false, others are going to be true. So this is the truth table for P implies Q. Now let's look at the equivalence. Equivalence look like this. Let's use a different color. Equivalence look like this, P equivalence Q. We can also read this one as P if and only if Q. P if and only if Q. And in other words, we can say P is equivalent to Q. P is equivalent to Q. Okay, these are two ways to call this one. Now how it's going to look, we can also, this is built up from this one, implies P implies Q. Now let's see, it says P implies Q and Q implies P. That's what this means. Here it says P and Q will always have the same truth value no matter what. So that's what it represents. Okay, and that's all about implication and equivalence. I hope this helps. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe.